Hello, welcome to our Wednesday devotional. Thank you for taking the time to spend this with me, and I hope it'll be a blessing to you. When I was called to candidate here at First Baptist Church many years ago, I did not know a thing about this church. I'd only been in Delaware, to my memory, one time, and that was only for an hour at a meeting, and turned around and went back because we had a problem at the church where I was serving. So I didn't know much about Delaware, didn't know much about this church. I did, however, know all three of the pastors that preceded me. And I didn't know them well, but I knew about them. So when I came as a candidate, I was hoping that I'd be called, if that be God's will. And I was hoping, if I was called, that this was a church that had a good reputation in the city. As you know, some businesses, some churches, some people in a smaller community have a reputation. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So when I came, I was interested to find out what kind of reputation this church had. When we hear certain names, it brings up good or bad feelings in our lives. If I mention the name Benedict Arnold, that probably doesn't bring up warm, fuzzy feelings. If I mention the name Abraham Lincoln, I think that does. I could go through a list of names, but you understand what I'm saying. Recently, in my Bible reading, I was in Proverbs 22 and read again verse 1 that says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches." Now, honestly, if I had my choice, I would choose a good name and great riches. But that's another story for another time. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Great truth in this thought. Let me enhance that with two or three thoughts. First thing is this: if you're going to have a good reputation, whether it's an individual or a family or a church or a school, as we have a Christian school, you have to do several things. The first thing is you have to do right. I think it was Bob Jones Sr. that used to say often, do right. If the stars fall, do right. We ought to do right. That shows our character. That shows, especially in a smaller area like Milford, Delaware, it shows to people around your character. You don't know whom you're going to see. I'm often greeted by some child in our Christian school or parents that I know or someone who's visited our church, and they know me, but I don't know them. That being the case, I should always be on guard to keep my testimony, my reputation, my name as a good name. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Our church and our school and our ministry ought to have a good reputation in the community. We ought to have a good reputation with the neighborhood. We ought to have a good reputation in our business dealings. A good name, do right. Second thing is this: we need to guard our testimony. I shared with the students in school on Friday, which was the last Friday, the last chapel of the school year, how that we take weeks, months, years to earn and gain a reputation. But you can spoil that reputation, you can ruin that reputation in a very, very short time. We need to guard our testimony, guard our reputation. One of the first things I did upon coming here was I had installed windows in all of the doors to the classrooms. They were fire doors, and they were to be able to keep out fire, so they were solid doors. But I felt like it was not wise that a door could be closed and no one could see in. Guard our testimonies. I try to be careful meeting with people. Guard our testimonies. Many, many other things could go into this, but I want you to understand, if you're to have a good name, you need to guard your testimony. And then this thought, very simple thought is to remember that God sees everything. We might think we can get by with something, we can do something in secret, we can do something and no one will find out, but God sees everything. The Bible says a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. I remember growing up that our parents, especially when we were teenagers, had a one-liner that I was told to remember. It was this: David, remember who you are and what you are. I knew what that meant. Who I was a Perdue, and Perdue's had a good name. And what I was a Christian, and Christians should have a good name. So today, remember, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Let's work on our reputation. Let's work on our testimony. Let's build up our character. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.